Well, Valtteri, you have the vote certainly of the Racer's Edge and everybody who watches the Racer's Edge as the 2013 Formula One Rookie of the Year. You weren't voted that way by certain other groups, but we won't go into that at all. This is the one that matters. And based on alone Canada and United States, but you put in some other very good drives as well. Congratulations on a very good rookie season.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I think now when I look the season back, I really think I can be happy. You know, it's still my first season in Formula One, and learned a lot. And a couple of times also when the car was competitive in the current conditions, I managed to make some good results as well.
I'd forgotten that it was your dad's birthday over the weekend of the Canadian Grand Prix as well. What a special time that was. Yeah,
it was the exactly the Saturday when I was 30 in qualifying. That was good timing, and he got a cake and everything, and that was nice.
Well, he got a cake, and you got a pat on the back from Sebastian Vettel, and you sat up there as one of the top 3 qualifiers. What, looking back now, does that seem real?
Yeah, it does, because those kind of places are more or less starting to be, where I want to be in Formula One. And of course, that was a surprise for everyone, including me, but really enjoyed it, and, just need more of those,
Well, it came again effectively in the United States Grand Prix in Austin, commensurate with the change in the car, although it was really only reflected in your performance in terms of Pastor out there in the other car. But can you just talk us through the race there? Because you spent a lot of time in company with Fernando, not too far away from Fernando, which is heady company as well.
Yeah, the race pace was actually a little bit unknown for us, but it turned out to be quite good. I mean, especially the first stint, I was able to go with Fernando, and even in the end, just before he made a pit stop, I was very close and got a couple of times to the error zone within 1 second. So a bit surprised about the pace, and immediately, when the race started like that, I knew that this is going to be a good race for us, because finally we had some pace, which we never had so far in the races this season.
And Rob wants to say something, but I just wanted to mention that pass down the hill as well on the outside. That was very nice. Yeah,
that was very nice. I knew that I need to get quite quickly past him. He was on the older tire, and if you get stuck behind some cars, you're losing a lot of lap time, and at the same time you're losing a lot of tires because you have less downforce in the corners and you're sliding a bit more. So, and that puts more temperature in the tires, and that can really change the whole race. So it was. I really decided that now it's time to go for it, and went for it, and it was nice.
Did you have any feel though for whether you were going to be on marbles there, or what the grip was going to be like?
Yeah, there was a bit of marbles outside. I just really was trying to keep inside enough not to need to lift. And just was watching basically Gutierrez at the apex of the turn 2 to see that if he's going to use the whole track in the exit or not. And it was nice that it was all fair. He left me just enough space to get past.
Well, those corners are a bit like Eau Rouge when you drivers say, well, it's easy flat now, it's not really a corner. For me, that corner in the drive isn't a great corner because it appears to be easy flat, but you certainly made it a lot more interesting by being out there in unknown territory. And you weren't the only guy to do that, but that's when those corners come alive, of course, when you can pass people on the outside.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And it's also, it's a lot up where you use your curves. And once, I got a good opportunity, I decided to really make a good line for the exit, have a good exit, use all the traction available, and then use as much as curves as possible. And I think he probably didn't see it coming, so maybe he didn't have time enough to react and use his curves.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Very good. The US GP, though, what was truly significant was probably the first time that the whole worldwide TV audience saw you for most of the race, and it wasn't just that you were looking at Alonso's gearbox for all that time and he was looking at his mirrors at you. Behind you, don't forget Nico Rosberg in the famous Mercedes, Jenson Button in the McLaren, sitting there. This is now you know that you can lap as fast as these people or beat them. We know that. You know that, and there's been occasions when people have caught glimpses of that. Canada qualified, but this was rock solid stuff in the middle of that race, and I think that was truly significant. Probably meant more than the third place qualifying in Canada, because these are world champions, in front of you, behind you, serious team Mercedes, and it was right there, and that we know is what you can do, and you can do that further up the grid as well, as the car gets better. It was truly outstanding drive.
Yeah, it felt very good to be really actually racing. This season many times we've been just a bit behind all the midfield teams, and clearly faster than Caterham and Marussia, and we've been kind of between there. But finally, when we had a bit more pace, it felt very, very good to finally race, and in the end managing to keep Rosberg behind, it felt good.
And Valtteri, I'm glad that you can't see us and we're talking on the telephone, because I'm winking to Rob now as I say that, of course, when you were in the car there, you weren't thinking, I've got Fernando in front of me and I've got Rosberg behind me. You're actually thinking, flat car, gentle firm.
You forgot all that.
Exactly. That's
sure
the way to go. You don't think, you don't think between the race that, who's in front of you and what has he achieved. In the end, they're all, they're all racing cars and there's racing drivers in it, and the only thing you think about is doing your best job there and doing all the tricks you can and to have a good race.
Well, we don't want to keep showering you with accolades, but the other point that I would make purely visually is that you seem to have a very neat and tidy year as well in general. Very rarely did we see you massively out of line or doing weird things in the middle of the corner. I guess if there were anything, it would be the occasional lock-up, as indeed I think we saw in qualifying in Austin, right? In Q3, you had a lock-up into turn 1, was it? Or the hairpin, maybe? Or maybe the last. And where was that lock-up?
I think the place where I lost a bit of time in Q3, that was the corner before, the Istanbul turn 8, but other way around. So beginning of the last sector, there's this quite a tight hairpin, difficult braking into it. So there I went a bit too deep, and basically time-wise I lost one position in the grid at that point. So that I wasn't so happy because of that. But in the other hand, that gave me a clean side for the start, and I managed to get one car in the start, so maybe it helped,
How can a driver of Valtteri's quality make a mistake like that, Rob?
Well, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about Helmut Marko knocking on bedroom door, saying, you screwed it up at turn 5 in Hungary. So I think he's allowed this one.
I'm sure he is. Valtteri, on Carbone Industrie brakes at the moment, and interesting that Felipe Massa has spent virtually the entire life on Brembos. And I had a quick word to him in the Ferrari motorhome in Austin, and I said, it's going to be fun for you on the Carbone Industries next year. And he said, oh yeah, I need to talk to him about that. I want to race on Brembos.
Oh, great.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what we'll have. Maybe we will try something different in the winter test. We will see. But from Carbone Industrie brakes, I have nothing bad to say. I've been very happy with those the whole year, really. So.
And Lewis Hamilton would agree with you.
Okay.
He's a CI guy as well. I mean, what the Brembo drivers tend to say is that there's more softness in the pedal, or more feel, I guess, is what they would really say. And the Carbone Industrie pedal has a harder feel to it. But Rob, just bringing you into the conversation there, assuming you got the stopping power you need, should the driver be able to work around that and get the feel he needs, even from a very hard pedal, or would you go for the softest pedal you could get?
If he's a sensitive driver, Valtteri obviously being one of those, you should be able to get that same feel. It's a bit like people saying, well, the difference between treaded tyres and slick tyres, well, slick tyres have feel to them as well. It's just a matter of how narrow the area you're going to work in. But I don't know, Valtteri, have you tried Brembo brakes at all?
No, I think I haven't tried.
He might find those even better. It's worth looking at.
Well, it's another of the components.
Yeah.
Valtteri, very quickly before you go, your plans for the next couple of 6 weeks or so before you start testing. Where are you going to be? How are you going to spend Christmas and the New Year?
Yeah, still for a bit of time at Williams. We're doing quite a bit of simulator work for the next year's car, which is very interesting. A lot of new things, and I think the simulator is a really good tool for me also to get used to the different kind of torque from the engine, and it's going to be quite a bit different. Also some seat fitting for next year. Bit of meetings with the engineers, and then I'm off to Finland. Try to spend nearly a month in there. So plenty of winter sports, training, and enjoying the time off with the family. So should be good. But I'm also very, very much looking forward to next year. So I think from my point of view, the break is a bit too long, but it will come soon.
We are too. I always keep saying, last question, but you've just raised something else in my mind. In the simulator, when you're working on the torque like that, what Pirelli tires are you factoring in at that moment?
Well, at the moment we don't have any good info of the next year's tires. So, all we can do for now is still to use the same kind of tire models than this year. But looking forward for the first test. Then we will get a much more data of the tires, and also updated simulator, which will make it more accurate.
We'll have a lovely Christmas and New Year. Thanks for talking to us again. 2013 Rookie of the Year, Racer's Edge. Unanimous vote. Thanks very much indeed, Valtteri.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, what a good guy, Rob. And let's hope Williams continue the path that they found at the end of the year there. Less is more. Took away downforce. The car became more drivable. They suddenly got some results. Obviously a completely new aero package, engine package for 2014. But all things being equal, Valtteri Bottas will do a good job. He's got a very clinical mind in terms of management of the car and the engine. Equally, as you've said many times, very adept at what he's doing with his hand and his footwork and his suppleness.
He is absolutely the real thing. We decided this, or rather, it was apparent a year ago or more. We started doing this stuff 2 years ago, probably. And he's continued to deliver. There are only a couple of occasions during 2013 where what he was doing wasn't anonymous. People spotted it in Canada. They definitely saw it in the USA. And if they add up the qualifying difference between himself and Maldonado, that's way ahead. That's his first year.
How do you think he'll go with Massa, compared with Massa?
I think he will wear Massa down in the same way as he wore Pasta down to a degree. Pasta's trying harder and harder, and I think Massa the same. But Massa will put in some very fast laps, qualifying laps, and he will. He outqualified Alonso a number of times. This is not a slow person.
No.
And I personally think that'll be a more harmonious team than it was in 2013. I think Massa is a relatively easy individual to get on with, very skilled, very fast, a lot of mileage, and knows how to handle himself. And I think Valtteri's also a very correct person. He's a hard racing driver, but he's not unpleasant to be around, even for teammates. And I think it's quite a good team.